This man scratched off the date on a check, rewrote it as today, slapped his name on it, and just like that, a fake check was ready. But it was clearly sloppy. No matter how hard he tried to explain, the bank clerk refused to cash it. Feeling frustrated, Frank walked down the street when suddenly, a pilot caught his eye. Wearing a sharp uniform, he looked classy and confident. Beautiful flight attendants followed him, and even kids ran up for autographs. When he walked into a bank, the manager came out to greet him personally. Frank watched, full of envy, and then, a wild idea hit him. He was going to become a pilot, just not the legal kind. First, he posed as a newspaper reporter to interview the CEO of an airline, grilling him on everything about pilots. Then he claimed to have lost his uniform and got a brand new one made. When he tried to pay with a fake check, the tailor simply asked for his pilot ID, saying the cost would just be taken from his salary. Frank now walked the streets in uniform. People stared. Little girls ran over to tell him how cool he looked. Back at the bank, he not only cashed the check, the bank manager personally shook his hand. He also found out payroll checks were way easier to cash. Frank got excited. Time to fake payroll checks. He soaked a model airplane in water, carefully peeled off the logo, and stuck it onto the check. Then he pressed it down with a heavy dictionary. Finally, he handed it to a gullible bank clerk, and it worked. Seeing how well it went, he started mass-producing payroll checks. To make his fake checks look even more real, he spent a huge amount of money at an auction to buy a magnetic ink machine from a shut-down bank, so he could encode the fake checks properly. As a result, his checks looked more and more realistic, and the money he cashed out kept increasing. But at the same time, his actions had already caught the attention of the police. The police went straight to the hotel to arrest him, but when they opened the door, they found the room empty. Suddenly, the sound of a toilet flushing came from inside, and Carl immediately became alert. But Frank walked out calmly and claimed that he was a cop too. Carl didn't believe him and said he needed to see his ID. Frank handed him a wallet, but before Carl could open it, Frank pointed outside and said the suspect had already been caught by his colleagues. Frank was very satisfied with how perfectly he handled the situation. He found an excuse and left the hotel. Carl sat on the bed and let out a sigh. He touched the wallet Frank had left behind and suddenly felt that something wasn't right. When he opened it, there was no ID inside, only a bunch of label stickers. He rushed to the window. Frank was already running away, laughing as he disappeared into the crowd.